As you know, we're in the midst of our stewardship season, and so I've asked Abby Snow to come and give us a good word about stewardship for us here at Trinity. Thanks.
The first time I pledged my financial support to a church, I failed. It was the mid-1980s. I was a paid singer at Trinity Cathedral in Newark, New Jersey. One year I was moved to pledge $5 a week, thinking I could manage that on my church salary. Well, Sundays came, I could not spare $5. In a few months, I was hopelessly behind, and I couldn't come up with the money to pay what I owed the church. Cue the guilt, and human nature being what it was, I banished the thought of pledging for years. Jumping about 12 years forward, I gave up the paid singing, and I started attending my local Upper New York parish church as a regular parishioner. At first, I just put cash in the plate on a Sunday, but at the end of my first year, I made my second pledge for the coming year at that church, $15 a week. I managed mostly to keep up with that pledge and gradually increased it over the years. My pledging journey changed dramatically about 20 years ago, though, in response to a sermon on pledging by the New York Diocesan Controller, which introduced the concept of percentage giving to me. He came with props. He had a big, clear plastic bottle and balls of various sizes and colors. The balls represented your monthly expenses. The bottle was your monthly budget into which you had to fit those balls. So, first, he poured all the small balls into the bottle. Coffee at Starbucks, a movie, a magazine, a lunch. Fine. Then he started putting the bigger balls in. Rent, transportation, groceries, and so on, until finally all that was left was the church pledge ball. The bottle was full. There was no way to fit the pledge in. So he dumped the balls all out, and he started again. This time, he put the big balls in first, then poured the little balls in, and to my surprise, everything fit. But I was skeptical. I said, "This is just geometry." And then I thought, well, maybe that geometry says something about an underlying principle. So I decided to give this percentage giving a try, and it meant I would write my church pledge check as one of the first payments I made whenever I get paid. His advice was not to aim too high at the beginning. Pick a percentage that's just slightly uncomfortable. So I looked at my pledge as a percentage of my income, and it was about 2%. I thought, I can do 2.5% next year. I kept at it, challenging myself each year. Some years, the percentage stayed steady, but gradually, 0.5% a year, I crept up till I was pledging 8.5% of my income, which is where I've remained for years now. Now, the thing I like about this percentage giving is that my commitment remains steady, even as my income varies. In other words, I don't feel bad that I'm paying less as a retiree than I did when I was working full-time, because my commitment has been constant. So why do I pledge? Well, I pledge my support first because it makes church possible, but it makes me part of something larger than myself, a community where we can and do make things happen, and where we will build a future together. I want to end by telling you about a time when community was particularly important to me. While I was still in New York, I went through a period of several years where I felt completely alienated from God. Prayers, rituals, even communion were like spiritual ashes. But I persevered with that community I had pledged to. And when I couldn't pray with any meaning or sense of connection, I was grateful that they were speaking for me. And this was because I had pledged not only my financial pledge to the church, but my commitment. And this community could carry me when I couldn't do it myself. So I ask you to consider pledging whatever support you can offer. And if you have not pledged before, I invite you to join us on our journey into the future. Give some thought to how you can juggle those financial balls in your own life and how prioritizing or deepening your pledge can strengthen your commitment to this wonderful community. Together, we will make it happen, and we will build a future for Trinity Cathedral. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abby.